UIC.
Freedom the people of
Hell yeah.
freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah,
Yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road, me say yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road. Ready for broke every chain. The when you free up the people, levitate. Jamaica member, you ever great. I feel burn up the fire upon every snake. Me give thanks in every way. God still a look down once see we safe. UIC run the road long time. GLP and PMP I sell we out. Still I do the test even though we know the end result. If them coulda kill with them catch we and hang we know. No force, no coercion, me freedom in a step. No want to rob we and kill we and feel them I go make it out. You know see the leeches, you know see the hands of the devil when him sleep with. You know see the leeches, you know see the hands of the devil when him sleep with. Yeah, yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road, me say yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road. Yeah, me drop the braffin now, none of them laughing now. What them talking about? Everything cement and we not talking growth. Jamaican intellectuals are marching now. Them couldn't get the last laugh, no them laughing loud. We don't need the small talk when we talking, bro. We don't need them 5 grand, we need to part them now. Long time GLP and PMP I sell we out. Still I do the test even though we know the end result. If them coulda kill with them catch we and hang we know. No force, no coercion, me freedom in a step. No want to rob we.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of UIC Liberty TV. So today we will be giving you a update of our financials as we promised. So this is what we plan on doing every month, every end of the month, and within the month, following up with every week, we'll give you an update on how the donation, how the goal on getting 1,000 persons to donate $25 is going. So before we get into that, I must give a shout out to some persons who are already here. I see Dennis, good evening to you. Sylvester Lawrence, Three's Chicken, good evening to you. Mr. Craig McKenzie, good evening, everyone who already here, the early persons as usual. I know that we're expecting to see on the live in a few more minutes, which I'll be sure to give your shout outs to since you're used to it from Mr. Patterson. All right, so with me today, I have Mr. Gary Aldro and I have Chase Neal. So they're getting a chance now to say hi to you guys.
All right, hello everyone.
Chase,
Welcome to the
hi.
show. All right, did everyone hear me?
Yes, yeah, we're hearing you clearly, Chase. We're hearing you.
Big up everybody. Welcome.
Yes, good
All
evening
right,
and
Mr.
welcome everyone.
Aldro.
Yes, thank you. A pleasant good evening to everyone, all fellow uniters. We have this presentation this evening and hopefully we will be able to give you an update on the financials in terms of the reaching that goal of $1,025 per person each month. And let's see how we move towards that, how quickly or how slowly. And Naika will highlight that for us this evening. And then we will just follow up with Naika to implore the more generosity from our fellow uniters and others that the uniters come in contact with. So I pass it over back to Naika.
All right, thank you so much for that. All right, so like I said, there are other persons. So I see Builder All. I also see Father Coops, Ayan Fresh Style Atkinson. Love the name. Blessings and thank you all for being here. All right, so like I said, what we'll be discussing today is the financials for the 6 months, and I'll also give you a rundown of what happened in June alone. And also, I'll tell you how that goal to get 1,000 persons to donate $25 per month is going. All right, so I guess it's safe to get no, not seeing any others yet to give a shout out to. But as soon as they come up, and please feel free to ask your questions. We'll be more than happy to answer them. All right. So let me just get to the presentation now. So I hope you all can see my screen clearly. This what is on the screen now, last statement over the 6-month period. So we usually do a statement for the first quarter or financials for the first quarter and also for well, we do it for all the quarters until we get to the end of the year. So right here, we're showing you how much we've gotten over the 6-month period, how much we've spent, and we'll give you a step-by-step breakdown of all that happened. So what you can see here for the total donation that we got from January to June 30th would have been $2,040,706.01. So our come through general contributions, membership dues, and we had a One Jamaica Walk event that we did some fundraising for. Yeah. As it pertains to our expenses, we had expenses for the 14 parish. Now, a lot of persons, or a few of you may be wondering why we have expenses for 14 parish tour in January when the 14th parish tour was in December. This is because some expenses would have rolled over into the new year. So that's the reason why we have it there. For advertising, we spent $10,400 for charges. That's just general. Just a second, my screen went out for a bit. See what is on the screen, Gary?
No, I'm not seeing anything on the financials on the screen.
You're not seeing.
Yeah, I'm seeing you on the. I'm seeing you, but not the financials. The
Oh, and because it just jumped off just now, I could have sworn that I was kicked off.
oh, okay.
You thought I was the one who got kicked off and not you, and went completely black just now.
Oh, okay. Submission
It's
error.
quite weird.
Somebody
One has never.
did.
This one has never happened before. Just pick up from where I started.
Right. Right. Yeah.
You can see my screen, all right?
Yes, I'm seeing this screen and the financials on there.
Okay, great. So let me just page where I that are taken out for transactions that are made. So we have for canvassing we have $5,178. For contract services, we have $448,000. So as you know, the UIC currently has 2 staff members. At first, they only had 1, but yeah, they're now able to take on another. So that's where the contract services amount came from. For donations, where we have $84,380, those are some contributions made to persons who would have, reached out to the UIC for some assistance. So we decided to do that. For food and beverage, we have $312,468.42. And let's go over to our next page. We have a $240,000 for general admin expense. For internet hosting and services, we have $148,000. 300 We have $148,319. Now for internet hosting, that comes from even this platform that we're on. We also use Shopify, which is our site that we sell our merchandise on, which is our t-shirts and stuff. For printing and production, that's $85,500. For repair and maintenance, that's $72,000. Software subscriptions, $79,326. For taxes, $3. For the telephone or mobile, that's $15,403. Travel expense, $23,563. Then we have a $6,435 for loss on foreign exchange, and then a $385 for unrealized loss. So that would have taken our operating expenses to be $1,647,430. That leaves us with a surplus of $393,275.44. So that's just for the 6-month period. But what I plan on doing though was showing this in comparison to what happened in June alone. So let me just pull up that statement for June only. And please let me know if you can see the screen clearly, because I want to ensure that you guys are seeing. All right, can you see?
Yeah, I'm seeing the profit and loss. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, so for June alone, our income would have been 266,000. And when we get to the end, you will realize that our expense would have been a little over, well, not a little, but would have been over the amount that we've gotten for June alone. So for contract services, $132,000. As I said, that's for the staff members. For printing and production, it's 7.5. That would have came from the first job fair that we had in Kingston on the 31st of May. For food and beverage, it's $209,000, 251. The general admin expenses would have been 3,500. Internet hosting and services, 11,275. And the others would have taken the total to to 400. Why is my screen not changing? Oh, would have taken the total to $459,664, which would have put the UIC at a deficit of $192,665. Now, I wouldn't say that for the month of June that donations have dropped. it's at a steady point. But what we also need to take into consideration is that as the movement grows, so does the expenses that comes with it. It's let's look at it as a business. It's not a business, but let's look at it that way. The more a business progresses, the more its expenses would become. So we would also love if the donations could step up a bit. Um, Let me just go and take an input from Chase and Mr. Aljo before we proceed. So go ahead, Mr. Aljo, you first.
Yeah, what the number is showing so far, it seemed to be ahead of the previous year. So that's a good sign. It just that it needs to go much further, but it's a good sign. It's a positive sign. We'll see how the next half or the next quarter. So we'll take it quarter by quarter. We'll do a comprehensive analysis and presentation at another time, where we'll look and delve more deeply into the numbers and the trends of what's happening, and and share that with the fellow uniters, as well as other supporters. Um, in addition to that, one of the things that we're finalizing and have pretty much finalized is the budget for the organization, and that will serve as a good guide to help in allocating the resources to the various categories in a way that hopefully we can um, iron out or mitigate those ups and downs in the expense category. Though we really don't have much way of controlling the contribution ups and downs of the contribution. The way of doing that really is to increase the base of the contribution. So instead of I think the highest monthly we have had so far is like 70 for a particular month. Our 70 persons, 104 transactions, because some persons do give more than one contribution for the month in some cases. But we appreciate everything. We appreciate everyone. And I know it's a difficult time financially for most persons because, things are tough, But the mere fact that UIC is considered and donations are given to the UIC, we know it could have been spent so many other places. So we really and truly appreciate that. And we'll stretch it, we'll use it as much and as far as it can go. Yeah? So that's one of the things that we're working on is the finalizing. Of course, we have worked on it. We're finalizing the budget to try and get everything streamlined and to be as efficient and as lean as possible, so that whatever funds we get, whatever funds are got into the organization is spent as appropriately as possible and in the areas that are needed most, which would be, for example, in the parish tours, in the canvassing, those areas, so that the word can continue to be spread, that persons in the communities can be engaged, and that the presence of UIC is out there, that the councillors and the MPs will have some funds to work with. I mean, it's very little, but it's something. And we have to work with what we have and work as hard as we can with what we have. You know, sometimes it seems like an impossible task, but everything and anything is possible. We just have to get it going as best with what we have. All right. So I appreciate that. I just love to say thanks, and we'll continue doing our part to make sure the funds are directed in the way that the you fellow uniters donating it wants it to be, which I'm sure is to use by the UIC to make its presence um, expanded or felt, and to be directed in those areas where the word can be spread and mobilize the people. So with that, I'll pass it over back to Nika and then Chase to add in.
Thank you, but you actually pass it over to Chase because I'm going to bring him on now to give
Okay.
his input.
All right, thank you, Naika. Thank you, Gary. I do hope everyone is hearing me. All right. Shout out to Three's Chicken. Lion ruled the jungle without fear. Yes, Lion. Thank you for that comment. Like and share the live, please. Gary had spoken to how important it is for the donations to come in. This is the people's movement. It's funded by the people, controlled by the people. And if the people want us in power, then we depend on the donations of the people. Although we know times are challenging, times are hard. For those who can afford, we really welcome your donation. For those who can't afford, you can support by liking, subscribing, and sharing. So share our life, tell people about the UIC, and tell them to share and we can on board to win Jamaica, a country that makes best life for Jamaicans. Three's Chicken made a comment that we need a cash app. Maybe that is something to look into. I have never used it, but we take that in consideration. Welcome, Chef on Oats. Welcome, Janet. Thank you for coming through. So everybody, welcome to the presentation. Now, I must say that I am impressed, although I am a part of the UIC, I am impressed with the transparency, the openness. There is no other political organization that I see that makes known the financials and the operations to the people. But as I said, this is the people's movement. It is up to to support the UIC. Therefore, the people must know what is going on in their movement. All right. Janet is saying every mickle make a muckle. Yes, I endorse that. So no matter how small it is, if you can't afford the $1,000, then $100 goes a long way. Every little $100. Or so yes, as we proceed in the life and you see how your movement is doing, you see our needs. We need to be able to fund all the candidates for local government elections. Some candidates are not um, of much financial means. Let me put it that way. So they are not able to afford the campaigning. So we want to be able to take that load off their back because they're capable. So we are capable and willing, but they need that. The UIC must be able to push them to victory on behalf of the people so that we are able to put our plans, the education plan, crime response, 10-point plan, all of that in place for the Jamaican people. All right, so I encourage you again, get involved in whatever way you can. If you don't have the money, then share the live. You may just reach someone who can get us to where we need to be. All right. Thank you, everyone. And I turn over now to Naika.
Sorry, just realized that I was muted. So sorry about that. But like I said, you guys would have remembered, for the persons who were here, would have remembered me showing this presentation last week with how the goal to get 1,000 persons to donate $25 per month is going. So I don't want persons to feel intimidated by that $25. Like Chase and Gary said, now may be a challenging time for most persons, right? So even if you cannot make that $25 donation, we still appreciate any form of support that you could provide to the UIC. All right. So no need to feel shy or shy away from the idea of the UIC because you may not be able to donate that $25 that is required or that we're asking for, not required. All right, so if you should look on my screen now, I'm just refreshing the memories for the persons who were here last week and for persons who are new. Let me go to the last slide. All right, so this is where I was explaining how many donations we got for each month and how many of those donations would have been over $25 or $25 and over. So for January, it was 104 donations in total, with only 41 being over $25. For February, we had 44 donations in total, with 21 being over $25. For March, we had a total of 50 donations, with only 24 of it being over, or with only 24 of it, sorry, being $25 and over. For April, it was 35 donations, with 16 of it being $25 and over. For May, sorry, it was 64 donations in total, with only 34 of that being 25 and over. And for June, it is 50 donations in total, with only 28 being over 25 and over. So in total, for January to June, sorry, it would have been a total of 347 donations, but only 164 of those donations would have been $25 and over. Now, for that 164, based on the calculations that I did, only 43% of that 164 are persons who are actually recurring donators, or what we would call members, because that's what they would have signed up for. Now, I don't think, even though we need the donors, I don't think the issue really is getting donors, even though we need them. But the issue is actually getting persons to donate or become a recurring or a member, right? So it's not, the issue is not getting donors, the issue is just getting members. So I do urge persons that whenever you go on the website to donate, you click on the become a members link. So that way you could become a recurring donor if that is your wish. If you want to become a one-time donor, you would click on donate to the UIC, since that only allows you to donate once. All right. Else? Anything you want to add to what I just said, Gary?
No, it's right. I think you've covered that quite well. That the 25% is, and based on the previous presentation, covers like 50% or so of 43% based on the calculation of the donation and the recurring donating donators. So donors, I should say, and which is good. 43% of what we're getting are recurring. Just that the numbers need to be, the base need to be larger, needs to be bigger. But we appreciate the donors, current donors coming each month, donating whatever they can afford. But we really appreciate that. I know One, I think Three's Chicken had mentioned about the Cash App and Zelle software or app. I will look into that in regard to how that can UIC, how it can accommodate UIC, because one of the things I believe with those two is it has to be tied into a bank account in the US. So I'm not quite sure if that can work. I don't think so, but that's something that I'll look into to see how that can be, how that can work for the UIC. Those, and other apps out there, I'm sure will expand the reach, the opportunities for persons to donate to the UIC. And with that, really, the more monies that comes into the UIC, then it's the more the message can be disseminated to the people, because it is the people that counts. It's the votes that's going to change the way Jamaica is being run now. There has to be a movement through the UIC to replace the two governments that exist. The PNP, People's National Party on one hand, and the Jamaica Labour Party on the other hand. They have been given over 78 years or more in which to develop Jamaica to the point where it's a place for all to work, live, congregate, and to bring a family, to conduct business, to own the properties, to have constitutional rights not infringed, civil rights. All of that has been trampled on in many, many respects by these two parties at one point or the other. And it's time for the people of Jamaica to be respected. It's time for them to be represented properly by a party that have the interests of the people at the core of its movement. And that can only be achieved, though, if the funds are there to have to mobilize the people, because that's the bottom line. The people, there has to be numbers committed to this change. It's not going to happen just like that. The message will be out there, but unless the funds are gathered, the amount of persons that needs to be reached will not be enough to make this change unless the base is expanded tremendously. So we're asking for that as quickly as possible too, because if I recall, the next year March is the local elections. That's not far away. That we're looking at probably close to it, maybe 9 months by next March for that election. So it is so necessary to mobilize the councillors right now to get the funds in so that that can be done. It's not a long time. 9 months in an election period, it's not a long period of time. So the funds are needed as quickly as possible. And, I can't emphasize it any more than that. Okay, and again, we appreciate all that is given, and we'll use it as best we can. Okay. All right, thanks so much. I'll pass that back to Chase or Nico if they have anything more to add. Zoom. Zoom is another platform that we can look into as well. Zoom, and of course, we have the Western Unions and so on, um, that we're looking to see how that can be structured in a way that the UIC can get it directly. And one of the things that we're working on and finalizing is the bank account, formal bank account from one of the major banks in Jamaica, for the UIC. So once that is in place, I know the Zoom and the MoneyGram and the Western Unions and all those other platforms can be used to get that donation in. But I appreciate that comment and that advice as well.
All right, thank you so much, Gary. It's Chase's turn to be on, so let me just put him on right now to give his input.
All right. Thank you, Naik and Gary. I would just like all Jamaicans to remember back in September 22, 2021, where the UIC, led by Joseph Patterson, led a march um, in support of Jamaicans' rights, protesting the government's consideration of the vaccine mandate. Now, if you recall, private sector organization of Jamaica had asked the government to put in place that mandate so that people would not be able to have their jobs without taking that experimental drug against their will. And at that time, our prime minister had gone to the Supreme Court to determine whether or not such a mandate would have been unconstitutional. And the Supreme Court responded that enforcing such a mandate would not be unconstitutional. So we were just this close for a mandate to be forced on the people that they have to take this experimental drug against their own will, or else they'd lose their jobs. And the UIC marched out in defense of the Jamaican people. And the consideration of the mandate was withdrawn. And when our president sued on behalf of the Jamaican people for the state breaching our constitutional rights, that also worked in our favor. Now, imagine us impacting such a big decision with no money. Imagine what we can do on your behalf if all our candidates are funded and we are able to advocate and work on behalf of the Jamaican people. We now have a jump program in the works, will be launched soon, whereby we have community leaders in the communities forming clubs called capital credit clubs, where people are taught financial management, where they're taught how to manage money, how to start businesses, taught about um, how to understand civics, community policing, and from this group now, through member donations, people can be lent money to develop their own businesses and pay at 10% interest, repay the loan at 10% interest. And then all members would be able to every year reap from that capital gain from the 10% interest, so that everybody ends up being richer year by year. Now, we have this to roll out. Now, imagine when we are empowered to do that much sooner. In every community of Jamaica, we can have a community capital club running the JUMP program. Then we'll find that people will have more money in their pockets, people will be more financially literate, being able to weather the storm, even when will be able to make better political choices. And communities will be safer through community policing training. You see, so UIC is ready to work for the people. In addition to the plans and the policies that we put forward for a better Jamaica, we are ready to move out and roll out on your behalf. Now, we ask you to roll out and move out on our behalf and help us to help you. As Lion rule the jungle without fear, say again, like and share. Help us to get this done. All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I turn over again to our host, Naika. All right. Have yourself a good evening until we see you again. Naika, your turn.
All right. Thank you so much. To add to what you said, though, I know. Well, there are some persons wondering why do we need 1,000 persons to donate $25 to in order to effectively carry out the objectives of the UIC, which create a Jamaica that brings out the best in everyone. This money is definitely needed. We need to fund the campaigns for the candidates. As we know, the elections, they can be called at any point in time by the looks of it. Persons are saying that we're not out there enough, but mainly we use social media as our platform to get to as possible. And that's the reason why we encourage persons whenever they join the live, just share the live to a member. They can post it on a status or story where a lot more persons could see it and probably tap the link. They can watch the videos and be more educated about what the UIC is about. Um, yeah, that's my 2 cents. Yeah, so that's the main reason why we need it. Also, as you know, the UIC is well, it's mainly volunteer based. So if we could get a few more staff members and stuff, it would be a bit more how would I say this now, efficient. Yes. So that's the main reason why we need your donations. Uh, I did promise in the beginning that I would give a shout out to the other persons who come back on, or persons who would have joined later. So Cool Guy and Miss Janet Chekanowski, who is always there. By the way, she is our member with our a part of the UIC. Mr. Shabon Oates, Omar Delgado. I did see a comment from you, which I think is really important in this case. The job of a cybersecurity consultant is to assess an organization's computer systems, network, and software for vulnerability, then design and implement the best security solutions for the need of that company. If a cyber attack does happen, your client will just a second, will seek your expertise fund and mitigate the damages. Yeah, I think that's a good idea and something that we may need to implement, because the issues that have been happening with these days, trust me, it's not something that we need to even laugh about. Because sometimes we could be on check audio and visual like an hour before, and the moment we come on, it's a disaster. So that's something that we definitely may need to check on. For three, was it mentioned Cash App? I did do some that it has the highest in the US because it's not compatible with, or the only um platforms using now to take donations would have been through the website, which is linked to our PayPal, and we also take bank transfers. For persons who may not be that much of a tech savvy, they could always make their donations through one of those money transfer institutions, for example, MoneyGram or Western Union. You could send it to somebody from UIC, call the UIC phone number and notify us of it. Send it to somebody from the UIC and it will be deposited to the UIC bank account here. Or could send it to a family member and ask them to deposit it to for themselves. It's whichever medium that is more convenient for you, really. Anything else you want to add? I'm not seeing any questions for us to answer. It's merely that I'm seeing.
All right. Although this is not a financial thing, I think this is important. JMH asked, "What is the best UIC flyer I can print and give out?" Yes. Well, Janet did answer. But is there a way flyer to the description of the video so that people can get it at a later date to download and print? I'm not sure that's possible.
Maybe which flyer did Miss Janet mention? Is it a 10-point plan?
Yeah, I'm thinking that one, the one with the 10-point plan, the vision, the mission, all of that.
What I can do is attach a link to it. It's on the website, so I'll attach a link
Yeah.
afterwards. And on
Oh,
our
great.
screen now, those are the numbers that you can call. They're both WhatsApp numbers. So you can either call us or send us a text or send an email, and we'll be sure to respond to you guys.
Okay.
Let me one last check. Person. Oh, there's someone asking if we accept cryptocurrency.
Oh,
Not at the moment, but that's definitely something that we could look into and probably set up, because I know most persons are moving towards cryptocurrency these days. So maybe that's something that we could look as well.
right. Okay.
Any questions before we go?
Not right now.
Mm, no questions. Okay. All right. Anything else you want to add before we jump off, Chase or Gary?
Nothing much, really,
Oh,
just to say thanks for all that join us tonight. We appreciate that. Your time could be spent so many different ways. Chose to spend it with us, so we appreciate that. And we just look forward to that base being expanded tremendously, so that the the policies and what the UIC stands for can be delivered to the people of Jamaica in the most efficient and effective way, as soon as possibly can. Thanks so much for everyone joining us tonight. I'll pass that over to Chase.
all right, everyone. I echo Gary's sentiments. Thank you for coming. Thank you for viewing, and we wish you all the best. Wherever you are, good night, good morning, good afternoon, and let us work together for one Jamaica.
Yes, we're in Jamaica.
Okay, before we go, I see Janet clarifying something, that he's looking for a flyer to hand out to people, one with info about the UIC. All right, here's my advice on this. With the contacts on the screen, please call or send a message to anyone, and we'll send you the flyer you have so that you could print them and hand them out to persons. All right, so send us a message or give us a call so that we could have your contact number, or send us an email, rather, whichever one you choose, and we'll send the flyer to you. All right. Okay, so with that being said, no questions, no other. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was a pleasure having you guys on. Don't forget to share the live with other members or anybody you know. Share the live on your platforms. Leave a comment. We appreciate the comments. Yeah. And that's it. So please enjoy the rest of your night. And thank you so much again for joining us. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye.